Happy Friday, Muskies. I'm Hope Forgas.
And I'm Amira Savani.
From the Xavier University Television Studio, this is Xavier News.
Secretary of State John Kerry met with his Russian counterpart Friday in a last-ditch effort to ease the dispute over Crimea. The White House have intervened in Russian intention to secure the small peninsula country to the former Soviet republic. U.S. officials say that they believe there is a little chance of delaying the referendum that is to be held on Crimea on Sunday to decide if the peninsula should rejoin Russia. But they say if Russia will refrain from taking the next step of formally annexing Crimea, that there may be yet an opportunity to negotiate a political resolution. A state official said, quote, "We are going to give diplomacy every chance," end quote.
President Obama cannot repeal the ban on health care for transgendered people from joining the Army without congressional approval. Dr. Jocelyn Elders, Surgeon General under President Bill Clinton, says it's due to a lack of medical evidence. Elders said, quote, "We determined not only that there's no compelling medical reason for the ban, but also that the ban itself is an expensive, damaging, and unfair barrier to healthcare access for the approximately 15,450 transgender personnel who serve currently in the active, guard, and reserve components," end quote. Many people were for the ban of transgender people receiving health insurance because they would need to have sex reassignment surgeries and hormone treatments. Many countries such as Australia, Canada, and England already allow transgender people to serve in their military, and America is hopefully soon to join them.
Pope Francis had made strides that shake up the old views of the Catholic faith. A year into his papacy, the revolutionary leader of the Catholic faith has redefined the Catholic devotion to the world community. Francis has said the world must find a new balance, or even the moral edifice of the church is likely to fall like a house of cards. Pope Francis has also brought reform to the scandal-ridden Vatican Bank, removing top officials accused of money laundering. However, the Pope's reforms haven't all been positively received, and vocal criticism from many institutions has worried followers of Catholicism.
A plane leaving from Malaysia disappeared last weekend on its flight from Kuala Lumpur to Beijing. The plane and the 239 people on board disappeared without a trace early Saturday morning. Multiple search and rescue ships and aircrafts had been deployed. The search has expanded with no leads. China has deployed 10 satellites into orbit in order to help widen the search for the missing Malaysian plane.
Police officers took the stand Wednesday in the 8th day of the Oscar Pistorius trial. The Paralympic champion sprinter has been charged with killing his girlfriend Riva Steenkamp in 2013. The police produced an autopsy and some forensic evidence to the jury defending his not guilty plea. The trial has brought Pistorius to tears multiple times in the courtroom. If found guilty, Mr. Pistorius will serve life in prison. Now we go to Jack Vandertol with this week's new DVD release, Catching Fire.
Hello again, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of my movie review show, The Golden Rule Review, with your host, Jack Vandertol. Now today, we're going to be talking about the hottest release on DVD right now, and that is The Hunger Games: Catching Fire, the blockbuster sequel to the equally smash hit, The Hunger Games, starring Jennifer Lawrence and Josh Hutcherson. Now the storyline for this one takes place about a year after the initial Hunger Games, in which Katniss Everdeen and Peeta Mellark are both dual victors. However, the victory is bittersweet, as now they both must go on their victory tour for the adoring eyes of the Capitol and yet the suspicious eyes of President Snow. Now, in many ways, I feel like that this is a superior film as compared to the first one. Major credit for new director Francis Lawrence for giving us such a visual, loyal adaptation of the Suzanne Collins novel. It's visual, the graphics are better, and overall it's just a much more grand scale film, which obviously leaves audiences with a much better taste in their mouth. As far as special features go, you can enjoy a special commentary by director Francis Lawrence and producer Nina Jacobson, as well as deleted scenes and a sneak preview of Lionsgate's new film Divergent, starring Shailene Woodley and Theo James, out this month. Now, Catching Fire: The Hunger Games, it was honestly one of my favorite films in 2013, and I honestly cannot wait until Mockingjay Part 1 that comes out later this year. I give The Hunger Games: Catching Fire 3.5 out of 4 stars for its visual, very loyal, and gripping storytelling. and as well as wonderful performances by the entire cast. As usual, Jennifer Lawrence carries this film very well on her shoulders, as well as great performances by an all-star supporting cast, including Woody Harrelson, Elizabeth Banks, and Donald Sutherland. I hope you guys will enjoy Catching Fire when it comes out this weekend, as I'm sure many living rooms will be filled with it. And until then, this is another episode of the Golden Reel Review with your host, Jack Vandertol. See you guys soon.
2 deaths and nearly 24 injured Thursday at a South by Southwest Film Festival in Austin. Fans at the festival witnessed an intoxicated driver run through police barricades onto a crowded street during the festival. The suspect fled, hitting several pedestrians as police attempted to pull over the driver early Thursday morning. Police pursued the suspect by car and on foot. Austin Mayor Lee Leffingwell released a statement saying, quote, "Austin Police Department is investigating this matter as allegedly involving drunk driving. If this is true, this fact angers me. Drunk driving is never acceptable and can lead to deadly consequences," end quote. The suspect remains in custody. Well, that's all from this desk. Next is Allison with the Xavier Sports Report.
Hi everyone, I'm Allison Martin and welcome to another edition of the Xavier Sports Report. In prime time, the women's golf team has been hot on the road, winning back-to-back tournaments at the Red Rocks Invitational and the Rio Verde Invite. In Rio Verde, Shane Crutchfield shot a final round 73 to capture an individual second-place finish and lead the team to their second consecutive tourney win by 5 strokes. Crutchfield finished only 2 shots short of taking first. The Lady Muskies will have a couple weeks off before returning to the course, where they'll hit the road yet again to compete at the SDSU Farms Invitational in Rancho Santa Fe, California. With spring fast approaching, the men's soccer team is preparing for their spring schedule that will kick off next Saturday against Michigan and Oakland. In the fall, the men tied for second in the Big East, and their 10 wins made them just one of 15 schools with 4 straight 10-win seasons. On top of that, they rank amongst the nation's top 15 in total wins and NCAA appearances over the past 4 seasons, and one of just 7 schools with top 25 MLS draft picks over the past 2 years. Head coach Andy Fleming is looking to challenge his players this spring, saying that they added a variety to this year's spring slate, which is allowing them to experiment with many versatile guys they have. Now on the court, the women's tennis team has kept their dominant win streak after capturing a 6-1 victory over Florida Atlantic. The Lady Muskies had a quick first win after Lindsey Boss of Florida Atlantic defaulted at the end of the first set due to injury. However, Xavier kept the aces coming, and the women captured wins on 5 of the 6 singles courts, with Daniela Patton and Andrea Wolf duking it out in 3-setters. Next, the ladies hope to keep bringing home the W's as they take on the Rockets of Toledo today at 4 p.m. The women's basketball season has come to a close after falling the first round of the Big East tourney to Georgetown. That loss capped the Lady Muskies season at an overall record of 8-23 and 3-15 in the Big East. It certainly was a tough season for the girls after transitioning conferences and taking on a new head coach, but you could say this was a building year for the ladies. They fought some tough battles and are looking forward to get better next year. As for the men's basketball team, let the madness begin. The Big East tourney tipped off Wednesday, but yesterday were the games worth talking about. With Creighton and Providence moving on as expected, the Villanova-Seton Hall game came down to the wire with a buzzer beater by Seton Hall's Sterling Gibbs. The Pirates won by 1 point over the Wildcats, and now they advance to the semifinals to play Providence. Xavier too came to play and sealed the deal with a 68-65 win over Marquette. The Muskies were expected to sit Matt Stainbrook due to injury, but by pleasant surprise, number 40 subbed into the game early in the first half, making a huge defensive contribution against Gardner, Marquette's forward. Samaje Christian and Justin Martin had two big performances as well for the Muskies. Christian scored a total 18 while also reaching 1,000 career points. The Xavier guard entered the game only needing 16 points to become the second Muskie to reach that milestone as a sophomore. Justin Martin also had yet another great performance against the Golden Eagles and captured a team high of 19 points. Martin was 50% from the field and 100% from the free throw line. And free throws did win the ball game for the Muskies. They outscored Marquette 17-8 from the line and had 5 fewer turnovers. Xavier advances to the semis and takes on Creighton today at 9:30 p.m. in the Big Apple. Well, that's it for another edition of the Xavier Sports Report. Good luck to our men's basketball team tonight. And on behalf of everyone in the station, I'm Allison Martin. Have a great weekend.